Hello everybody and welcome to the telecast. I'm your host Ron Whitlock. We have quite an exciting program for you today. We have Rick Rodriguez, the challenger, former 92nd District Court judge. Welcome to the program, Rick. We're going to have a conversation with the incumbent district attorney for Hidalgo County, Rene Guerra. I've only had him on this kind of a program from Hector Villarreal and Alma Garza on News Channel 5 KRGV, then segued into News Center 23 KVEO, again with Alma Garza and Vivencio Guerra. Rene Guerra, welcome again, one more time. You and I just won't go away, will we? We just got to keep hanging.
I'm trying not to, Ron. I'm trying not to.
Trying to hang in there.
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there, and we've got a challenger, folks. I've asked this time a serious challenger, Rick Rodriguez. So, Rick and Rene, welcome again. Rene Guerra, the DA for Hidalgo County for how many years, Rene?
I'm going on 32 years. I've been serving for 31 and a half years.
31 and a half years, and
yes, sir,
more puts you about the 36 level.
Yes, sir, and I served as an assistant for a year and 6 months, I believe, and an acting DA for 9 months. So total law enforcement experience is about 33 years with 2.5 years in the military.
So tell the people watching the program here today about your background growing up and how your background might have led you to want to become a servant of the people, a public servant. Rick?
Growing up, I always wanted to be a public servant. Going away from school, I always wanted to come back and make sure that that I provided leadership to my community. Came back after my education and started my practice. Was involved with the city council, with the city commissioner for 5.5 months, and then
Edinburgh.
I'm sorry?
Edinburgh.
5.5 years, yes, with the city of Edinburgh. And then after that, I had the opportunity to run for the 92nd District Court. I got elected to the 92nd District Court, served the citizens of this county for about 6.5 years. And that goes to show that my interest in public service, has been at a very young age. I got on the bench when I was 34 years old, and I served the citizens of the county again for about 6.5 years. You go back to my yearbook in high school and you check what I wanted to do in the future. It said I wanted to be an attorney and a public servant, and that's what we're doing today, serving the people.
Same question for the district attorney, Rene Guerra. Rene? Well,
growing up in Edinburgh, and of course being a migrant for many years, almost through when I started college. Growing up during tough times, basically we were scratching a living trying to survive, and I was fortunate enough to graduate in Edinburgh, second in my class, and I went to Pan American College, which was not a university. And of course, I had an obligation to serve the U.S. military, and I served in the U.S. Army as an officer from 1969, 1970 to 72. Had reserve duty for 3 years. Went to law school at the University of Texas and came down to the Valley. My aspirations were not grandeur when I was growing up. I basically wanted to work with in mathematics and chemistry when I was going through Pan American School. I couldn't afford to go to engineering school at UT. But I found my niche, got through the programs at Pan American, the military, and then a friend of mine was studying to go to law school, and he gave me the idea, of course, that had been planned by one of my teachers in high school to be a lawyer. And I thought it was a great idea, so here I am. I never thought that the opportunities would open up for me when I was growing up, but I've been very blessed with how things have developed. I had a strong family upbringing of conservative living and trying to make ends meet. And of course, I was fortunate to get elected district attorney in 1982, and I'm continue to serve as a DA.
We're hearing from you, the audience, that you want to know what the core belief is for our two candidates running, your core belief about the law, and why you have made it your life's work. Rick?
I've made it my core principle because, again, it's about service. It's about serving the people, and justice, transparency, accountability. These are some of the things that are very important that apply to the law. And again, as a district judge, we have to follow the law to the best of our ability. And at the same time that you're following the law to the best of your ability, you're serving the people. You're making sure that that while you're following the law, that people's lives obviously will be affected however the law is stated. But you know that it affects humans, it affects people that are in your court, that were in my court. So I made sure that the law was followed to the best of my ability, because at the end of the day, it's about serving and protecting the individuals in the judicial system.
District Attorney today again, what's your core belief about the law, and why have you made it your life's work?
Well, growing up as a migrant, I saw my mom interrogated 2 hours at the checkpoint in Falfurrias, where the officers were trying to say that she had forged her residency card, which was ridiculous. I saw abuses when I was growing up, where they threw us out of restaurants because we were Hispanic and wouldn't serve us, even though I thought that we lived in a great United States growing up. Those were sort of branding in my mind situations where I felt that down the road, if I ever amount to anything, that I would possibly look for protecting rights and what have you. My mom had a 10 acres, 12 acres, 18 acres of land in Stark County, where the county dug a canal through her land and didn't pay her. And I saw the need of a lawyer in the family, and not only for my family, but for other families where I felt that people were not being represented unless they had money. So, of course, going into the military and then getting the opportunity to go to law school at UT with the GI Bill, I decided to come back and work as a lawyer. Of course, my ultimate, really my real goal a long time ago, I wanted to be a U.S. congressman. I felt that by getting the law degree that I had an opportunity to run for U.S. Congress. But of course, we had a great congressman. May
not be too late.
We had a great congressman.
The would move aside.
No. We had a great congressman, Kika de la Garza, but he was doing such a good job, and we all supported him because he was a great public servant. I never could convince him to retire early so that I could have a shot at it. And then it became too expensive, really. And I said, no, the DA's office is where my heart is, because I defended criminals for a year and a half, and I didn't like the taste of someone walking away from the courthouse innocent when they were guilty.
Now, you, the people watching the telecast, communicate with us through feedback at ronwhitlockreports.com and other venues. And you, the people, are telling me that you're very concerned about corruption here in the judicial system along the U.S.-Mexican border. In particular, you're very concerned after having watched what's happened in the Cameron County District Attorney's Office smoldering around the Villalobos administration. Subsequently, what's your take on this, fellas, and what would you intend to do if elected District Attorney of Hidalgo County?
For the last weeks, months, years, we've seen what's been going on around not only Cameron County, but also in this county and other counties. So my issue, what I'd like to do as a DA is not so much what would we do different. It's more of what we should have already done these past years, and based on what's happening, first of all, we have to tackle corruption. We have to go after it aggressively, by no means. But I think that these years that have passed, I think we should have been prepared for these type of cases, these type of corruption that's going on. We should have already had a division that just deals with public corruption or public integrity, whether it's to protect our citizens, whether it's to protect the DA's office from any wrongdoing going on. But it's something that should have already been in place after so many years. That way we could have been prepared to investigate, to look at the corruption and go after the corruption aggressively.
As the incumbent who's challenging you to the status quo, saying you've not done enough, and having an actual staff dedicated totally to public corruption, Renee, what's your response to that?
Well, I wish I had the luxury of a plethora, as I saw it in a movie, of lawyers. I have 59 lawyers operating in this county to do law enforcement work. El Paso County has about 120 or 110 that cover the county, which has maybe 50,000 to 100,000 more population than we do. Now, to create divisions and to special units is good. It sounds good. The problem here is that, I just can't go investigate a school district because somebody says there's corruption there. you know, the district attorney's office, just like law enforcement, has to have a person step up to the plate and say, I swear under oath that I saw this individual take money or do this illegal act in order for us to investigate. I cannot assume, and this is where I think the inexperience of my opponent comes through, you cannot do law enforcement work unless you have a person in the community who's willing to swear out a complaint against a fellow citizen or a company that is involved in corruption. Now, several times people will come to me and say, hey, somebody wanted to do this, and I said, well, why didn't you call me? He said, no, I just didn't. And they want to tell me afterwards, when if they had come to me before, with the staff that I have, with the law enforcement agencies that we have available, the FBI, the Texas Rangers, the DPS, the Sheriff's Office, we could have taped some of these people who were maybe offering bribes in return for favorable treatment, either through school boards, city commissions, and what have you. Now, when somebody comes to you with an unsworn statement, it's really in the category of rumor, and you cannot prosecute or launch investigations with rumors. If I were to do that with the rumors that are out there in the community, I would have 59 lawyers chasing rumors instead of doing capital murder litigation at the courthouse and murder litigation like the one that we have going on. Now, it is not practical to have a unit just sitting there until somebody comes in and says, this is going on at the Edinburgh School District, or this is going on at the Edinburgh City Commission, or whatever, or the local government. Now, it sounds good, it looks good, but in the end, the Commissioner's Court, which says now that we have a $10 million deficit in our budget, is not going to give me law enforcement investigators and prosecutors to have them sit down there at the courthouse waiting for somebody to say, hey, in Edinburgh School District, they entered in this contract illegally, and I think you should go investigate. That is not practical. That's not sound law enforcement. Now, corruption is always going to be there. Anybody, look, corruption can be a sitting judge who says, hey, I'm going to rule for this adoption even though I know the law's against it. I'm going to allow this, this adoption. It may not be corruption for money, but it's like a corruption of judgment. When you go against the law and do something that you shouldn't do, then I think that you're not a good public servant. Now, there's all sorts of allegations all over the place, but as a district attorney, I can go chasing windmills like Sancho Panza in El Cid.
We'll be back in a moment, so stay tuned. We're going to continue to talk on this particular topic because people are telling me this is the #1 issue in this campaign, with a district judge and a current city district attorney on the other side. This is exactly what is faced in Cameron County, and this is one community. So we're going to continue this dialogue and this conversation when we continue, so stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the telecast. We're having a conversation between Rick Rodriguez, former 92nd District Court judge, running against incumbent District Attorney of Hidalgo County for many years, Rene Guerra. Now, you're telling me, you, the audience, that you're concerned about the fact that there's public corruption in the judge's office and a district attorney's office. We've got Jim Solis in prison, former Texas State Representative from Harlingen, Texas. We have a former sitting district judge in jail and incarcerated at this particular point in time. So your reaction to what the man you're challenging has said about doesn't think he needs to have a public corruption office in the office?
Again, we don't want to go chasing around false accusations or something that just somebody said or whispered to someone's ear. What I'm saying is that after the years, we should have had, whether it's one prosecutor or two prosecutors, we should have the presence of a division where the public officials or anyone who is involved in public office understands and knows that there's a presence in the DA's office where we're ready to investigate and go after public corruption.
Anybody and everybody.
Yes, sir. And taxpayers' money, I would agree with the citizens of this county that they are willing to spend that money to make sure that this corruption ends, because at the end of the day, those who are committing the corruption and breaking the law, these are individuals that are being paid by taxpayers. So again, I'm not saying that we have a division of 20 individuals, but after so many years, we should have already had a division to make the presence at the DA's office and for everyone to know that we were ready to go after any illegal activities or corruption.
You're talking about being headed with a chief who is inviolate, doesn't care about political connections and how it may affect him and or the office. He's going to go after anybody. He gets an allegation, he's going to go out there like a bulldog and get at it.
Of course, you know, I agree that there has to be proper allegations, sworn complaint. We have to follow the law and make sure that we're not chasing false accusations around. But again, my idea is that you have the presence of this division in the DA's office where we're ready to investigate solid, good corruption cases.
Ron, let me say something, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I already have a division. People don't realize it, and I don't call it a division. It's called the grand jury section. I have former Judge Murray Moore, Paul Tarlow, Kelly McCormick, and any other lawyers necessary who have conducted investigations. We indicted the city commissioner from Metcouch. I didn't go as somebody to else to go investigate. We investigated when we heard the allegation. I sent a task force investigator to do so, and they went up with an indictment. Of course, he's presumed innocent until proven guilty, but we already have that.
Did you do that in Progreso and all the problems?
I went up to Progreso on some allegations of illegal voting where ballots were being mailed to a vacant lot in San Antonio. We've done that over the years.
How about the,
I don't call it
the school district in Progreso, the municipality of Progreso? And
those complaints never came to me and never surfaced, as far as I know, where you could adequately go do an investigation. Now, the reason the federal government's involved in a lot of these, the FBI is particularly, they have accountants, they have access to banking accounts, they have access to a lot of transactions that a state district attorney or a state law enforcement does not have. You're saying that's the proper venue,
not the district attorney?
Well, it could be both, but see, I have to go on a sworn, like a sworn affidavit that says ex-president board member went to Las Vegas and he got given $10,000 cash money to go spend over there, and it was given by a particular company. We could do that. We could investigate that. The grand jury can bring people. The grand jury can do these special investigations, which is really more powerful than an investigator. The investigator facilitates the gathering of evidence for a grand jury to conduct its work. Now, if the work is incomplete at the law enforcement agency level, where they hit a wall, then the grand jury comes in, and the grand jury can subpoena people through my power and the foreman's power, and bring people before it and compel them to testify. And we have done that before. And if they don't testify, then we file a motion with the district court, and we send them to the county jail until the end of the term of the grand jury, until they decide to cooperate. Now, these are burdensome, very they're costly investigations. We just don't have the resources. And the taxpayers are not going to raise taxes because a lot of taxpayers are disillusioned that a lot of taxpayers' monies are being wasted. What happened in Precinct 1 in Westlaco area, where former commissioner, my opponent's supporter, Sylvia Handy, cost us $500,000 in damages. And all I could get out of a court was 7 years probation, even though I wanted to send her to prison.
Actually, she was also Mr. Guerra's campaign worker as well, not just.
Sylvia Handy.
Yes, I mean, she chooses to help who she wants, but you know, she's also helped Mr. Guerra in the past as well.
I have a question now from you, the audience, and this question comes from a viewer saying, what plans or how do you plan to address, or at least to begin to address, compadrismo between attorneys and judges? It's a very sad situation and scary for the people of our county who go before these corrupt, unfair people.
I don't, you know, compadrismo and all that, you know, that's a word that really is, no, I know it means that, but it's kind of racially prejudicial, okay? You know, compadrismo is a Hispanic word. Compadre, the true Mexican definition of compadre is that in the absence of the parents, the godfather would take care of the children. Now, I don't know why this demeaning word was used for corruption or people that want to do favors for somebody else. Now, if you take care of my children because I am deceased and you're my compadre, that's not favoritism. That's a cultural obligation under Hispanic culture, Mexican culture. Now, what you have is a whole bunch of wheeling and dealing where some lawyers may get special treatment out of judiciary. I'm not going to say that that's happening in Hidalgo County because, one, if it is, nobody's swearing to it, and it's going to be very difficult to prove. Now, some decisions come out of left field, and a lot of people, you know, scratch their heads and say, how could the judge arrive at this decision? Well, there's some judges who have given orders when they had no jurisdiction to give orders, and people couldn't appeal, and if the case was an appeal, they couldn't get somebody to look at the issue, and some people wound up in jail illegally through void orders or what have you. Now, the judiciary has the protection of being dumb. That's if you're a dumb judge, you can get away with a lot of things. And a lot of people say, well, I didn't know the law was such. Now, compadrismo is not a proper word to use, I don't think. If somebody sells out for political support, then it's shameful, but it's very difficult to prove. These decisions are made, and if you don't have the money to appeal, well, you have to live with what decision the judge made on a custody issue, on a property settlement, and these kind of things, because lawyers are expensive in Hidalgo County everywhere. The appellate courts exist to correct injustices, but a lot of injustices are not corrected because the poor people don't have the money to finance the expensive appeals.
This host is going to take the position of the person who actually wrote the question in place here, which was an Hispanic female. I'm of the opinion compadrismo perhaps is not something that's all that significant today since it was written by an Hispanic female, and the fact that this particular area is almost 90% Mexican American. Do you have a reaction to anything that Randy Karen said?
What's important here is that we treat every case the same, that we're fair across the board with each case, with each individual, whether it's a judicial judge, whether it's a district attorney. At the end of the day, what's important is that we don't play favoritism to anyone, whether you're rich, whether what skin color, religion, or what political side you're on. At the end of the day, these cases are very important. They deal with human beings. They affect people's lives. So we shouldn't play politics or compadresismo on any type of case. We treat every case the same, and we give everyone a fair access to the justice system, whether it's a district attorney or whether it's a judicial judge.
We'll be back in a moment with a wrap-up, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the program. Your host, Ron Whitlock, Rick Rodriguez, Renee Guerra, both who want to be the next elected district attorney for Hidalgo County, Texas. Now, March 4th is Election Day here in South Texas and along the border and across the entire state of Texas. We're going to give each candidate about 15 seconds to make a pitch for the vote. We're going to go first with the challenger, Rick Rodriguez. Rick?
Ricardo Rodriguez, running for district attorney. I'm asking for your support and vote. We want to have transparency. We have accountability. We want to provide justice. We want to protect our families and our communities. And the citizens have to ask the question, why don't we have a corruption division? Why we haven't had an audit in the last 30 years? Why don't we have a report every year about the cases that are pending? Those are the type of questions that the voters have to ask themselves when they consider the candidates and they go vote on March 4th, 2014.
And the District Attorney, Renee Guerra, your reaction and your closing comments.
Citizens, voters, I'm asking you to go out and vote on February 18th through the 28th, the early vote, and March the 4th. In the 31 years I've been in the DA, we've had 31 years of audits. I don't know what my opponent is saying about no audits. We have an auditor that audits our books almost on a daily basis. Now, from my perspective, I've tried to be true to the Constitution of the United States and the state of Texas and the laws there too. I've tried to enforce the law as equally and as fairly and as firmly as possible, seeking in mind that, or keeping in mind that the protection of the public is really our top priority. If we did not protect businesses, if we did not protect families, if we did not protect our communities, we would not exist as developed as we are in Hidalgo County. That's a tribute to silent law enforcement, federal, state, and county, including the District Attorney's Office. I appreciate your vote. Thank you, and please vote examine all the candidates. Our race is not the only race. We have some judicial races. Look at every candidate. Everybody's qualified, but look at their experience. I have 33 years experience in law enforcement and 2.5 years in the military. Thank you very much.
Have a follow-up?
Yes. If I may?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this race doesn't come down to experience. As a judicial judge, we served on the bench for 6.5 years. We made decisions every day, instantly and continuously on people's lives. We followed the law to the best of our ability. We protected the integrity of the judicial system. We protected the individuals who came to the court. And I'm asking for your support and I'm asking for your vote. Again, early voting is February 18th through the 28th. We want to serve the community just and right. We want to make sure that everybody has access to equal justice.
Mr. Cavadilla, Renee Guetta, thank you for being on the telecast.
Thank you very much,
today.
Ron.
Be sure and go vote, early vote, and March the 4th, along with
Yes,
you,
sir.
Rick Rodriguez,
Thank you.
the challenger. Thank you for joining us here on the telecast. Also go to ronwhitlockports.com and other places on the internet and social media. Till next time, adios.